short-sighted, simple, churlish fools. They don't understand. None of them understand. The experiment must proceed. There isn't much time. Quickly, my raptors, into the terrarium. You'll be safe here.
Is it done?
Yes. Look. Gone.
I see. Well, good. It's about time. Anyway, I'm going to need you to make yourself available this afternoon. Apparently, a large quantity of unrefined jelly has gone missing from the overflow vessel, and Supply wants to speak with the whole group about proper checkout procedures. You wouldn't happen to know anything about it, would you?
What? No! What would I want with unrefined jelly?
Well, quite.
What would I want, indeed? Solenopsis invicta. Interesting presentation. Fully functional stinger, too. Marvellous.
What's marvellous?
Oh, my sandwich, yes. It came with an unusually generous dab of fiery pepper sauce.
How many times have I told you? No food in the lab.
Yes, okay, fine, I'm going. Eat hearty. Grow strong. The work will continue soon.
Hello?
Shh.
Oh, it's you. Is something wrong?
No. I knew it. With the proper exposure and stimulation, the mutation possibilities are boundless. The potential for amalgamation, which is, of course, an epistatic effect owing to increased cytoplasmic viscidity in
What are you doing?
Preparing the report.
Can you not do it quietly? Perhaps try using the keyboard?
The keyboard. How quaint.
Ugh. Why is there a pile of substrate in the middle of the workspace?
It's the ventilation. Terrible down here. The stuff builds up in the corners. I'd put in a complaint.
If you're up to something, I will find out.
Oh, up to something? All I do is try to make the place a little bit tidier. I clean the desks and suddenly I'm up to something. Oh, that's very nice, very rich. Up to something. I'm not up to anything. My raptors, on the other hand.
This Solenopsis invicta fire ant queen has landed on the edge of a swamp. She may be far from her native habitat, but the fire ants are well known for their ability to adapt. Competition for food will be fierce. She will need to raise an army quickly to compete with the local predators. The ponds surrounding the nest are perfect hunting grounds for fishing spiders. They have keen eyesight and can skip across the water to quickly chase down unsuspecting prey wandering too close to the edge. The colony lies in the shadow of a great titan to the north, an American bullfrog. This large female has found the perfect spot to feed. Sheltered by foliage and in the path of many wandering insects and smaller amphibians, she has no reason to move on. Eventually she will need to be displaced, but for now, the fire ants have more pressing business to attend to. The boggy soil surrounding the nest is lacking in nitrogen and phosphorus, nutrients vital for plants to photosynthesize and grow. To survive in this environment, some have evolved to supplement their mineral diet by trapping and dissolving invertebrate prey. A small colony of Phaedulae maurici big-headed ants have established themselves on a hill to the west. Scavenging for seeds, aphids, and dead insects, they are unlikely to pose a threat to the Invicta colony, if left undisturbed. Even in small numbers, the fire ants are menacing, but in large numbers, they are virtually unstoppable. By linking themselves together, the fire ants have formed a pontoon out of their own bodies. It stretches from their home territory to a previously unreachable island, giving them access to new sources of food. As the sun sets, the local amphibians begin to emerge from moist crevices near the water's edge. Lone invertebrates will be picked off quickly. The ants should travel in numbers or not at all. Once again, dusk sets in over the swamp. Soon, the sandy undergrowth will be teeming with salamanders, toads, and nocturnal beetles. Night approaches, and the predators of the day give way to their nocturnal counterparts. As they encroach on colony territory, battles must be chosen wisely. Spread too thin, the fire ants could find themselves quickly overwhelmed. Dawn breaks, and the salamanders and toads retire to their damp alcoves to wait out the sun. Only the great bullfrog remains. She sits patiently on her throne, waiting for the next meal to wander by. For the swamp amphibians, the nighttime feast is over. Toads give way to tiger beetles, and the ant colonies step up their activities. If the fire ants are to stand any chance of establishing a long-lasting empire, they must grow quickly. There is no time to waste. For the swamp amphibians, the nighttime feast is over. Toads give way to tiger beetles, and the fire ants are free to farm their aphids without disruption. Staving off another night of attacks, the Invicta colony once again proves its strength. Despite this victory, there is yet one obstacle that stands in its way. Ever present, the bullfrog looms over the ants. The beast must be defeated. The ants have uncovered a group of hungry checkered beetle larvae. The soft grubs may look defenseless, but they have big jaws and appetites to match. A fully developed checkered beetle, Enoclerus rosmarus, has been disturbed by the ants. It has the same ravenous appetite and slicing jaws as its juvenile counterpart, but now paired with thick armor plates, it represents a far greater danger to the colony. At night, eastern narrow-mouthed toads patrol above ground looking for food. Ants make up 75% of their diet, so the small colony must stay alert. To make matters worse, they are excellent diggers. It's only a matter of time before one tunnels its way into the nest. A narrow-mouthed toad has burrowed into the nest. It may be small for a toad, but its appetite for ants is insatiable. Secretions from its skin burn any that manage to escape its projectile tongue. A magnolia green jumping spider, Lysoman viridis, has ambushed a fire ant. It prefers to hunt on foliage, where it is less likely to be spotted by predators and prey alike. Out on the ground it's more vulnerable, but that won't stop it from snacking on lone ants far from the safety of the nest. A six-spotted tiger beetle, Cicindela sexcutata, is on the move near the nest. Its metallic green elytra make it unmistakable, and like its other tiger beetle cousins, long legs give it the speed to chase down small arthropods with ease. A wingless parasitic wasp, Dasimutilla occidentalis, more commonly known as the red velvet ant, has wandered into Invicta territory. Although not on the hunt for fire ants, it will defend itself if threatened. Armed with an extremely powerful sting and displaying bright warning stripes, most creatures give it a wide berth. Many of the milkweed plants growing nearby are infested with aphids. Their honeydew excretions present an ideal, energy-rich food source for the fire ants. Aphids far from the nest are vulnerable, however, and are sometimes relocated closer to home where they can be better protected from predators and thieves. Defenseless caterpillars exposed on the underside of leaves are a welcome snack for the passing fire ants. The colony should take advantage while it can. Few meals surrender so willingly. The ants have been attracted to secretions of nectar produced by a yellow pitcher plant. In order to feed, however, the ants must position themselves precariously over a deep vat of digestive liquid. Waxy deposits on the rim ensure that any ant that steps too far in won't be stepping out again. A curious ant has ventured onto a Venus flytrap in search of nectar. If it brushes against the hairs on the open, red-tinged leaves, they will snap shut, encasing the ant in an ever-tightening cell. There is no escape. The prisoner will be slowly digested until nothing more than a husk remains. A wasp-mantid fly, Climachala brunea, has descended from her perch into the path of the ants. Unrelated to true mantids, her spiked raptorial forelegs are a perfect example of convergent evolution. Puccetia viridans, the green lynx spider, has set a trap under the lid of a yellow pitcher plant. Dangling precariously over the pitcher's corrosive soup, the lynx waits patiently. Time after time, insects attracted by the scent of nectar conveniently present themselves at her feet. The ants have set upon a green lynx spider, Puccetia viridans. She prefers to hunt on pitcher plants, but out in the open, she loses her advantage. Far from defenseless, however, when threatened she can spit venom up to 30 centimeters from her fangs. A bombardier beetle, Brachinus alternans, is hunting for insects outside the nest. It may seem unwise for it to wander so freely amongst the large amphibians that share the swamp at night, but they would do well to leave it alone. This beetle is a master of chemical warfare. The ants have clashed with a bombardier beetle. Feeling threatened, the beetle mixes a cocktail of chemicals that react together, boil, and explode from a valve at the base of its abdomen. A false bombardier beetle, Galerita bicola, is also on the prowl for small prey tonight. It impersonates the true bombardier to ward off potential predators, and its mimicry isn't simply visual. It too can spray defensively from its abdomen. In this case, the fluid of choice is the familiar formic acid. An ant has been devoured by Eurichea quadradicitata, a dwarf salamander. It is nimble, fast, and slender enough to wiggle through tight crevices in search of food. The fire ants have encountered a tribe of Monomorium minimum black ants. These tiny little ants may seem feeble, but the Invicta colony would do well to treat them with caution. Although primarily scavengers, they are armed with powerful chemical secretions and have been known on occasion to invade fire ant nests. A raiding party of little black ants are stealing aphids. They must be chased down quickly. The neighboring Monomorium minimum colony has launched an attack on the fire ant nest. The Monomorium minimum colony is almost defeated. The Invicta army must press their advantage. The little black ants fought to the last to defend their queen. Now the Invicta colony will enjoy the spoils of war. Defenseless larvae from the vanquished colony will be carried home and fed to the victor's own hungry brood. The fire ants and big-headed ants have met in their first skirmish. Sensing the new danger, the Maurici colony responds by awakening ancestral super-soldier genes in selected brood, feeding them until their heads are engorged with muscle. The big-headed ants now have a super-soldier caste to justify their name. At huge economic cost to the colony, these frenzied champions have been raised for one purpose: to crush the fire ants. A raiding party of big-headed ants are stealing aphids. They must be stopped. Big-headed super soldiers are leading a raid on the Invicta colony. The Maurici colony has fallen, their champions spent, and their queen vanquished. In the end, they could not stand up to the might of the Invicta army. The fire ants have mounted their first attack upon the great American bullfrog Litabates catesbianus. The brave frontline soldiers are quickly crushed and eaten. They must surround and swarm the enormous creature to stand any chance of defeating it. Once again, the fire ants advance upon the great bullfrog. If they do not possess the numbers necessary to overwhelm the creature, this could be very costly for the colony. Again and again, soldiers clamp onto the bullfrog's leathery skin and inject their Solenopsis venom, but the beast shows no signs of wavering. The fire ants must maintain their resolve. Overwhelmed with burning venom, the bullfrog finally succumbs to the might of the fire ants. Utterly spent, it collapses on the hillside, leaving the victors free to consume its body. The unrelenting waves of fire ants have finally achieved their goal. The bullfrog, sore with blisters, has hopped away. It's likely to give the Invicta colony a wide berth from now on. Unbeknownst to the ants, the presence of the bullfrog was keeping many other local amphibians at bay. The power vacuum it left behind is attracting a host of salamanders and frogs eager to take its place. The ants should go to ground quickly and prepare for the imminent chaos. As the anarchy above ground settles and with the invaders crushed, a new order is established. This is now the domain of the fire ant. The queen has fallen. Unable to amass adequate numbers to meet the perils of the swamp, her passing was almost inevitable. She should never have come here. This fire ant queen has traveled for miles on her nuptial flight, finally landing atop a sandy mound deep in the swamp. The vantage point might seem like an ideal home, but it may be short-lived. This whole area is liable to flooding, and nearby rainfall is already causing the groundwater to rise. Exhausted and without her wings, the queen is unable to move on alone. But if she can amass enough daughters in time, the colony as a whole may stand a chance. The waters surrounding the nest are perfect hunting grounds for fishing spiders. They have keen eyesight and can skip across the water to quickly chase down unsuspecting prey wandering too close to the edge. Food is abundant, but as the floodwater begins to rise, the ants will quickly lose access to the lower lands. Many nearby creatures have already been washed out of their homes by the rising water. A lucky few have been deposited on the shores east of the nest. As more arrive, tensions will rise. There isn't space here for everyone. A great blue skimmer, Libellula vibrans, hunts overhead. This fantastic aerial predator shouldn't cause any trouble for the ants. That is, unless it decides to land in their way. The boggy earth at the base of the mound is now saturated, and as night approaches, the water begins to creep closer. The new arrivals will rush to higher ground, heading straight for the nest. There is nowhere else to go. The inundation has slowed, and fewer creatures are washing up to the east. The ants have an opportunity to explore for food, but there are other dangers at night. Moist-skinned amphibians have come out to take advantage of this new water world, harvesting lost insects displaced from their burrows. Continued rainfall is about to bring another torrent flushing through the bog, carrying with it a slew of ill-tempered arthropods. With nowhere to drain, the floodwater creeps ever nearer to the nest. Already cramped and irritated, a panic ensues, and the refugees scramble for higher ground. News of the insect feast has spread across the swamp. With growing numbers of amphibians patrolling the waters, the Invicta's scavenging expeditions will need to be well defended. As the water draws ever nearer, more insects begin to wash up on the bank. The Invicta colony must maintain control or risk being overrun. Again, the floodwaters rise. The washed-up invertebrates panic, and a stampede ensues. The Invicta soldiers must form ranks quickly. A colony of little black ants marooned on a smaller section of the mound may be reachable if the fire ants join together to bridge the gap. The Monomorium black ant colony is soon to be flooded. This is the fire ants' last chance to raid their nest. The little black ants have been defeated. The fire ants must pillage the nest quickly and hurry home while they still can. The pond continues to swell, finally drowning the Monomorium colony. The fire ants watch as it sinks into the murky depths, foreshadowing their own demise. The pond continues to swell, finally drowning what remains of the Monomorium colony. The fire ants watch as it sinks into the murky depths, foreshadowing their own demise. Another surge advances, spreading a desperate frenzy throughout the beached survivors. The Invicta colony must leave now, or prepare their last stand. Time has run out. The Invicta colony must gather atop the mound. They won't get another chance. False bombardier larvae are burrowing through the earth surrounding the nest. They are already large and will hold their ground against small groups of ants. Amongst the melee of panicking creatures are larvae of the false bombardier beetle. Already large and accomplished predators, they will hold their ground against small groups of ants. An ant has found itself entangled on the sticky tentacle of a dwarf sundew. As it tries to struggle free, more tentacles are drawn in, drowning the victim in thick mucilage. A Pinewood's tree frog, Gila femoralis, has wandered into the trail. This one has taken a break from mate calling for a quick meal, and it seems that ants are on the menu. An eastern newt, Notophalmus viridations, is devouring ants. Growing up to 10 centimeters in length, it dwarfs other creatures on the mound. Its red skin is toxic and serves as a warning to potential predators. As if the colony didn't already have enough to deal with, the great blue skimmer has chosen this moment to touch down right outside the nest. Unchecked, this titan of the sky will no doubt disrupt colony activities, but if the soldiers are able to bring him down, the rewards could be mighty. After a sustained assault from the fire ants, the skimmer's stamina is beginning to wane. He leaps away from battle and prepares to take off. If the ants want to prevent his escape, they will need to act quickly. Focusing through the pain of the Solenopsis venom, the great skimmer cleared his wings, stretched his flight muscles, and managed to take to the air just in time. He won't be landing back here anytime soon. His wings weighted down with fire ants, the skimmer no longer has the strength to take off. Undeterred, the great blue skimmer sets down once again to rest. Crippled by relentless stings, the great skimmer's attempts to flee became ever more futile. Finally collapsing atop the mound, he succumbs to the fire ants. Dismemberment will follow. By joining their bodies together to form a giant raft, the fire ants were able to ferry the queen from the mound just as the nest filled with water. Their perils are not over, but they've shown great resilience and an ability to survive in this harsh environment. Wherever they land, the creatures of the swamp will quickly come to know the might of the fire ants. Weakened by relentless attacks, receding territory, and diminishing food sources, the Invicta colony could no longer hold out. As swamp-dwelling invertebrates poured into the nest, the guards fell one by one, until eventually the Queen's chamber was stormed, and her fate sealed. The Invicta colony has fallen. Water poured through the nest tunnels, washing away brood and drowning the Queen. A potential great fire ant empire, reduced to a mound of wet mud at the bottom of a pond. Dolomedes Triton, the 6-spotted fishing spider, has been observing the fire ants. Noticing that the majority of the group are engaged in pontoon construction, she skims to the water's edge to pick off workers one by one. A fishing spider has spotted the ants. Bridge construction has been halted by fishing spiders. The ants must deal with the fishing spiders before they can span this water.
They're about to start the Glaber trials at Site B. Are you coming?
Oh, no. Mole rats, not really my area of interest. Besides, this report won't write itself. Nose to the grindstone, shoulder to the wheel. Busy, busy, busy.
Right. Well, I'll be back in an hour then.
No need to rush. I have everything quite in hand. Unfortunately, we're still waiting on apparatus critical to the final experiment. But fate has presented us an opportunity, and this we must take. There's plenty to get started with for now. We'll need specimens, transposition canisters, towels, scalpels, glycerol, my trusty curette, and, of course, jelly. So, my enduring Ereptors, we've witnessed your proficiency for resisting natural predators, but what about the unnatural? After all, our work with the counterparts barely scratched the surface. Even on incompatible subjects, the effects of the jelly are remarkable. It may not look very pretty, nor indeed live longer than a day, but for our purposes, it's perfect. May I present to you my most armored hybrid, the Hermit Scorpion? Like water on rock, the Eruptors crash against the hybrid. How many will fall? Perhaps them all. The Eruptors attack the shell. Do they not know what lies within? Yes! The stinger opens and it's functional. Go, my furious hybrid, spike the ants. Spike them. Hermit Scorpion. It sounded better in my head. No matter, every stimulation spurs the permutations. Perhaps a more elaborate test to follow. Something to provoke a creative response. Now, do we want raptorial forelegs or pedipalps? Forelegs or pedipalps? Ah, silly me. We want both, of course. No, don't do that. That's your sister. No. Right, we're keeping you two apart. Oh, what's the matter, my Eruptors? Is the whip mantis being nasty? Yes, clever little ants. Work smarter, not harder. Only one remains. Kill it. Wonderful! Both champions bested. The caustic scent of Himmelum filling the arena. Can you smell it?
What's going on in there? Open the door.
What's she doing back? We need more time. I'm sorry, there's been a containment contamination.
What are you talking about?
Said the spider to the fly. You're witty and you're wise. How handsome are your gauzy wings? How brilliant are your eyes?
Where's your hazmat suit? There's no contamination.
Yes,
Let me
yes,
in.
Contamination, yes. And it lives. I have to say, I do my best work under pressure. In you go.
Open the door this instant, or I'll have you escorted from the building.
Open the door, no problem. I'm on my way.
Right? That's it. Can I have a security team on the 6th floor, please?
It's using its wings. Incredible. Though it does seem a little slow to react. Perhaps we severed a few too many synapses. Have you noticed that, my Raptors?
Here. I need this door opening and that man removed immediately.
Why must they constantly disrupt our work? You deal with the hybrid. I'll buy some more time. This should do it.
What was that?
Can I have some more help on 6th, please? There's a situation developing here.
Hurry now. Not much time. Unacceptable! Face your demon! There's nowhere to hide. Show some spirit. Where's your backbone? Oh, I apologize. You don't have one, do you? If you come out, I'll give you a nice blob of jelly for dinner. How about that? Come out! It's taking too long. Hurry up! Get on with it. Get on with it. What are you doing? You've barely scratched the beast. Yes! Defeated! Oh, if only we could finish now, but we must be patient. You'll have to stay in here for now where they won't find you. Don't give up. I'll be back soon, my little raptor. What is the meaning of this?
Get him out of here!
It's okay. I just need to escort you off site. Come on.
Absolutely unacceptable. You'll be hearing from my union representative.
Okay,
Don't
okay.
touch
Sorry.
me. That is assault, my friend. Oh, I hope those cameras are recording.
Come on.
You're all in trouble. Big trouble. Oh,
Okay,
yes.
that's enough.
Miserable. Incompetent. Useless. Oh, now look what you've made me do. Weeks of progress ruined. Suppose we can always start again with a more potent queen. No! Look what you've made me do! It's ruined! It's all ruined!
Get him out of here!
Enough of that, please. Come on, let's go.
What on earth have you been doing? You don't have clearance for hybrid experiments.
Don't touch that! My specimens!
This way. We'll just step.
Ah!
On second thought, don't let him off site. I need to speak with the controller.
Come on.
No!
We'll straighten this all out. It's okay.
Get off me! Ah!
Okay, it's okay.
What was he up to? There's nothing untoward here. Why did he lock the door?
Delivery!
I haven't put in any request.
Looks like a supercapacitor.
You're probably after microelectronics. Next floor up.
Delivery!
Not this again. Laser galvanometers? Could you let inventory know we never ordered these?
Not my job, I'm afraid. Hello? Going to need a signature on this. Dangerous chemicals.
What would I want with chlorosulfonic acid?
How should I know? I just need a signature. Propane delivery.
I haven't ordered any propane. There must have been a mix-up.
Aha! I told you I'd be back. My poor ants! What has happened to you? Don't worry, I'm here now. One final experiment and this will all be over. We'll need to get your strength up. Eat this for now. I'll be back soon with more supplies. Sit tight.
What's this? Notes on continued experiments. Solenopsis invicta, Megaponera analis. He wanted to integrate Matabele DNA into one of the Erepta colonies. Completely reckless. Ugh, crumbs everywhere. Who's been bringing food into the lab? Why are there footprints on my chair? Dirt on the floor again. Perhaps there really is a ventilation problem.
Escorted by a small entourage of loyal soldiers, this young queen has set out to establish a new colony on the edge of the savannah. These are Megaponera analis, the Matabele ants. They are large, fierce, and specialize in raiding termite nests. The Matabele may be predators, but they are very picky about their prey. The other creatures nearby are insignificant compared to the vast and replenishable bounty locked within the local termite mounds. Raids are conducted at dusk and dawn, and the night is almost over. It is time. There are 3 Macrotermes bellicosus termite nests in the vicinity. The Matabele must choose a target quickly and move with purpose. In most ant colonies, injured soldiers are left to die on the battlefield, but the Matabele do not forsake their sisters so easily. Ants wounded in battle and unable to walk release pheromones calling their comrades for help. If unburdened raiders are available, the casualties are carried home and nursed back to health. As the midday sun rises overhead, the termites retreat into the cool depths of their fortified mounds. Raiding at this time would be troublesome, and there would usually be little reason for the Matabele to leave their nest. However, West African rainbow lizards, Agama africana, have come to bask in the clearing. If too many are allowed to gather, the evening raids may be disrupted. As dusk begins to set in and the dusty earth cools, the termites march out of their mounds to collect dead wood and leaves. Time for the Matabele to replenish their larders. As night draws in, nocturnal scrubland specialists emerge from their hiding places to hunt. For the colony, the benefits of facing down these beasts are far outweighed by the cost in soldier casualties. Fortunately, the nest entrance is too small for the largest and most dangerous arthropods to crawl through. The ants will be safe underground. The sky brightens, and the nighttime scavengers begin to dissipate, leaving space for Matabele raiding columns. The temperature outside is rising, and the termites retreat inside to escape desiccation. The termites will soon venture out once again to forage. For the hungry Matabele ants, now is the time to strike. The Matabele workers have unearthed part of an African stink ant tunnel. This one appears to be deserted, a remnant of a past colony. Excavations have uncovered a common earwig, Forficula auricularia, nesting in the soil. It will protect its young vigorously. A common earwig, Forficula auricularia, has locked jaws with a Matabele ant. This nighttime scavenger won't shy away from a scuffle, especially if there's a chance it'll end with a meal. The Matabele have crossed paths with an alligator-back scorpion, Hottentotter. Wandering out into the open tonight on the hunt for insects, this sturdy arachnid uses 2 muscle-packed pedipalps for crushing its prey. And if they don't do the job, it can strike from above, spearing victims with its tail-mounted stinger, delivering a dose of paralyzing venom. The termites, although much smaller than the ants, are far from easy game. They have their own soldier castes whose job is to make the raids as difficult as possible for the ants. With durable head armor and keen jaws, it is not uncommon for the defenders to maim and even kill raiding soldiers. As soon as the Matabele have enough food, they should leave without delay. The Matabele should be careful not to overpillage any one mound. If the termites are too weakened, they will not recover their numbers in time for the next raid. The Matabele dug greedily into a termite nest, all the way to the Queen's chamber. This colossal egg-dispensing grub represents a huge feast for the ants, but at the cost of losing a stable food supply. With her passing, there is no longer any reason to return to this mound. The rainbow lizards are immense, and more than capable of dealing with a few ants. The Matabele colony will need to make a significant show of force and target the lizards one at a time to stand any chance of driving them away. A tiger beetle, Dromequida elegantia, has spotted the ants. This exuberant red hunter possesses all the usual traits: keen eyesight, long, powerful legs, and efficient carving jaws. A giant African mantis, Sphodromantis viridis, has come upon the ants. Growing up to 10 centimeters long and wielding a huge pair of savage barbed forelegs, this beast of prey is well equipped for a fight. It is quiet tonight. Usually the undergrowth would be bustling with nighttime predators, but few have surfaced. Something has them spooked. Tremors can be felt from within the nest. There's a creature on the move, and it's getting closer. A fully grown sun spider, Zeria Kiserlingi, has found the nest. She's looking for a burrow to lay her eggs, and this is the perfect spot. Unable to fit through the entrance, she'll need to dig her way in. This could be disastrous for the colony. The sun spider has bulldozed through the nest entrance and into the tunnels. She must be stopped. It is finished. The sun spider was finally bested by the ants, but not before decimating the nest. The cavern she left in her wake is now likely to attract even larger creatures. The colony had better be prepared. With the sun spider threat eliminated, the Matabele have an opportunity to raid freely while the termites are active. They should make the most of it while they can. It is almost noon, and the termites go to ground. Further raids are unlikely to be fruitful. For now. The termites are ramping up their activities. The Matabele should seize this opportunity before the nocturnal predators are too numerous. The gaping nest entrance is unlikely to go unnoticed for long. The Matabele should stand guard. There will be invaders tonight. An African giant centipede, Etmostigmus trigonopodus, approaches the nest. Searching for a good ambush spot, it wasn't expecting to find an ant colony, but now irritated and hungry, it confronts the soldiers. Despite its great size, rows of segmented armor plates allow it to remain agile, and its forward legs have been modified into fangs, with which it can puncture and inject venom into its victims. The giant centipede is dead. A lesser colony would have surely fallen to the monster. Although the Matabele Queen has survived, the undergrowth remains perilous. The ants should clear the carcass and replenish quickly. Night is over, and the raiding window opens once again. Rainbow lizards are beginning to arrive. The Matabele would do well to keep them in check. The sun has almost set, the sand has cooled, and the termites resume their harvest. Darkness looms, and the savanna arthropods emerge to hunt. There is but one the Matabele have yet to face, the greatest amongst their number. It comes. Tonight. It is here. Pandinus Imperator, the Emperor Scorpion. Growing to 20 centimeters in length, this true titan of the undergrowth dwarfs almost anything that crosses its path. with bulging pedipalps equally effective for digging up insects and tearing them apart. This encounter could mean extinction for the colony. Even as wave after wave of soldiers were crushed, the Matabele would not relent. The fiercest raiders mounted the beast, whilst maimed defenders sliced at its joints. Finally, the Emperor Scorpion fell. Having bested the 3 titans, the message to the savanna arthropods is clear. Confronting the Matabele in their home will only end one way. Only the most formidable ants survive here, and this colony's ranks fell short. Unworthy of their nest, the sun spider took it from them. The Matabele fought vehemently to the last, but it was not enough. The unclaimed termites will soon attract a new colony. Perhaps they will fare better. The scorpion gave no quarter. It cleaved its way through the Matabele army until finally reaching the queen. She was mangled, dissolved, and then consumed. Even with the escort sent to protect the founding queen, a privilege few new colonies inherit, the Matabele ants were not able to survive here. The unclaimed termites will soon attract a new colony. Perhaps they will fare better. This Matabele queen has located the perfect spot to found a new colony. Surrounded in all directions by termite mounds, securing a steady supply of food should be no problem. Her raiders are spoiled for choice. Unfortunately for this colony, prosperity is about to turn into peril. Not far from here, a vast army of Dorilus nigricans driver ants have established a temporary outpost. Like their New World counterparts, the Essaton army ants, they are nomadic and will send out daily marauding columns in search of food. The local termite mounds will not go unnoticed for long. The first driver ant scouts can be seen encroaching on the termite mound to the northwest. Night falls, and the clearing between the termite mounds will soon be scuttling with nocturnal predators. The driver ants are returning home, their jaws filled with termites. They will be back soon for more. Unlike the Matabele, they have no motivation to show restraint in their termite raids. They will press their siege until the mound is spent and then move to the next. Darkness sets in, and the undergrowth stirs. The creatures of the night awake. The twilight is fading, and under the shroud of night large invertebrates creep out of their holes to prowl the clearing. The driver ants are back. Unchecked, they will eventually exhaust the Matabele's food supply. If their incursion into this area becomes too costly, however, they may not return. The driver ant menace has returned, and the termite soldiers gather at their mound's entrance to repel the invasion. A brave effort, but futile. Their defenses will not hold. Hungry for termites, once again the driver ant foraging frontier closes in on the nearest mound. The workers have excavated an African stink ant tunnel, and it appears to have been used recently. The tunnels serve as convenient highways for the stink ants, allowing them to reach the outskirts of their territory safely. A Matabele soldier has encountered an African stink ant, Paltotherius tassatus. They are closely related, and the soldiers are quite evenly matched. Although they tend to hunt alone, when facing unbeatable odds, the stink ants emit powerful pheromones, summoning reinforcements over long distances to turn the tide of battle in their favor. Although not as dependent on the termites as the Matabele, the stink ants too conduct raids on the mounds and stand to lose out if the driver ants are allowed to dominate. They could prove to be an unlikely ally. The stink ants earn their name from their powerful pheromones. Although they tend to hunt alone, when facing unbeatable odds, they are able to summon reinforcements over long distances to turn the tide of battle in their favor. African stink ants, Paltotherius tassatus, traveling through one of their tunnels, have encountered the Matabele. Each considering the other a trespasser, they will fight, and being closely related, the soldiers are quite evenly matched. The Matabele have the home advantage though, and should be able to push the intruders back. If the stink ants meet with too heavy resistance, they will close off this tunnel for good. African stink ants traveling through one of their tunnels have encountered the Matabele. Each considering the other a trespasser, they will fight. The Matabele have the home advantage though, and should be able to push the intruders back. If the stink ants meet with too heavy resistance, they will close off this tunnel for good. Although the driver ants are generally smaller than the Matabele, their mages are formidable opponents on the battlefield. Their huge armored heads power broad jaws more than powerful enough to crush even the largest Matabele soldiers. An unfortunate Matabele scout has been snatched by a Contius lamate, a wafer trapdoor spider. It tops its burrow with a hinged opening that blends perfectly with the surrounding substrate. When feeling the vibration of a passing insect, it runs out, strikes, and drags the victim underground all in the blink of an eye. A huntsman spider, Pseudomicromata meri, has subdued a Matabele ant. She hunts without a web, relying on speed to chase down her victims. Once she is satisfied, she will retreat to a crevice in the rock, hidden away until hunger drives her out once more. The Matabele soldiers have brought down a huntsman spider. This one won't be interrupting their raids any longer. The driver ant invaders pressed into the heart of the northwestern mound, finishing off the last of the defenders and slaughtering the termite queen and king. Single-minded in their pursuit of meat, the drivers set their sights to the south. Without intervention, the termites will fall quickly. 2 termite colonies have now been conquered and their mounds pillaged. The driver frontier will head northeast, brazenly cutting across Matabele territory to reach their next foray. The 3rd termite colony has fallen, only 1 remains. If the drivers cannot be repelled now, there is no hope left for the Matabele colony. Their path will take them directly over the nest. A termite queen has been dispatched by a party of Matabele raiders. There is now only 1 mound left that can provide a sustainable food source. There are now only 2 mounds left that can provide a sustainable food source. There are now only 3 mounds left that can provide a sustainable food source. Their losses far outweighing the food they could carry home, the driver ants have finally been forced away. The Matabele have regained control over their territories and have crucially protected their 1 remaining termite mound. If the driver ants should ever return, this colony will be prepared. Their losses far outweighing the food they could carry home, the driver ants have finally been forced away. The Matabele have regained control over their territories and stewardship of the remaining termite mounds. If the driver ants should ever return, this colony will be prepared. The Matabele allowed the driver ants to spread over the entirety of their territory, giving them free rein to ransack the local termite mounds. Even if the scourge eventually passes, there will be nothing left to sustain the colony. If not in the jaws of a marauding driver, then certainly by starvation, the queen will meet her end. The queen has fallen. Despite their auspicious location at the foot of 4 established termite mounds, the fledgling colony could not last. Surrendering to the scrubland critters, the Matabele relinquish their territory and the termites therein to more worthy successors. This Macrotermes bellicosus termite king and queen are one of 3 reproductive pairs that founded colonies here. Vegetation is less abundant on the savanna than in the jungle, and with these 3 mounds being so close to one another, there isn't enough food to sustain them all. Eventually, 2 of them will be outcompeted. Termite raiding Matabele ants are active in this area, and given the abundance of termites here, the Matabele are unlikely to exercise restraint when pillaging any one mound. The threat of annihilation from both starvation and predation will set these otherwise amicable termite colonies against each other. Similar to leafcutter ants, Macrotermes are fungus farmers. Dead plant matter is first harvested and eaten by the workers. This initial digestion provides little in the way of nutrition, serving mainly to churn and mix the plant matter with fungal spores. The fecal substrate is then excreted and sculpted into an energy-rich fungus comb to be fed to the rest of the colony. Dawn breaks, and a Matabele raid is imminent. They're heading straight for the northern mound. Like clockwork, the Matabele have returned for their tribute. The raiding column is bound for the central termite colony. It's breakfast time for the Matabele. They have selected the southern mound for their morning raid. Just as harvesting operations resume, the Matabele begin their approach. Tonight they raid the southern mound. The day is drawing to an end, and under the crimson mantle of twilight the Matabele march forward. They will strike at the central mound. The sun has set, and without fail the Matabele launch their raid. They will arrive imminently at the northern mound. Termites from rival colonies have met in battle. Soldiers will no doubt be attracted to the commotion. A skirmish between termites has broken out over access to food. The scarcity of dead vegetation has led to fighting between termites. Precious food sources are contested, the termites will fight. As the midday sun scorches the savanna, the termites should go to ground. Out in the open, they won't survive for long. The sand around the mound is heating under the midday sun. Termites wandering far from the safety of the nest will dry out quickly. The undergrowth is baking in the midday sun. Insects ill-equipped to withstand the high temperatures will fall victim to heat stroke. Matabele ants aren't the only swarm raiders to be worried about. African stink ants have established extensive tunnel networks in this area, and recent excavations have revealed the termites. A subterranean stink ant raiding party has entered the nest. African stink ants are invading. The termite soldiers will need to mobilize quickly before too many workers are lost. African stink ants have dug into the nest from below to pillage workers. The termite reproductives of the southern mound have been slain. Only weakened by Matabele raids, it was an opportunistic assault by their treacherous neighbors that finally finished them off. The insatiable Matabele raiders pressed with fervor to the center of the northern mound, executing the queen and king in their chamber. Only 2 active mounds remain. With only 2 colonies remaining, the southern termites mount a desperate and risky offensive against the central mound. One last-ditch effort to weaken their neighbor and secure their place as the sole food supply to the Matabele. With the northern and southern mounds emptied, the remaining termites inherit complete control of the local vegetation. Feeding unhindered, they will outgrow the threat from the raiders and extend their mound into a towering savanna fortress. A monument worthy of a great termite empire. The Matabele soldiers cut their way deep into the heart of the colony. Unsated by the slain defenders, they set their sights on the termite queen. Helpless and bulging with nutritious eggs, she was too tempting for the raiders to resist. Ransacking through the mound, the stink ants overwhelmed the defenders. Their haphazard raid pushed deep into the nest, landing their soldiers at the foot of the giant queen. Her final indignity, to be cut down from her distended abdomen and watch helplessly as her assailants extract its contents. The subterranean creatures burrowing in the sand around the nest were too numerous. The termite king and queen have been slain in their chambers. Their reign was short and uninspiring. Not far from the nest, assassin bugs, Acanthaspis patax, are on the move. Their name is well earned, and the Matabele would do well to steer clear. The nymphs are known for decorating their bodies with the corpses of their victims. This behavior intrigues the ants, particularly if the bodies are familiar. Overly curious scouts will often find themselves added to the pile. A Matabele ant has fallen prey to an assassin bug. Using its rostrum like a hypodermic needle, it strikes forward, perforating its victim and injecting paralyzing saliva. The same apparatus is then used to suck out the liquefied innards. Another Matabele ant has been assassinated. To make matters worse, a huge emperor scorpion is nesting nearby, and this one is particularly adept at hunting termites. Its immense pedipalps are the perfect tools for bulldozing through reinforced termite mound walls. The emperor scorpion has breached the nest walls. The soldiers will need to mount a formidable defense to stand any chance of seeing it off. The scorpion has left, but not before it ate heartily. It will return. The scorpion's hunger is sated for now. It will likely be back tomorrow. The brave termite guards saw off the scorpion, but they haven't seen the last of it. The colony must replenish quickly. The Emperor Scorpion is back. The Queen must be protected. The Emperor Scorpion has returned to feed. It must be stopped. The Emperor Scorpion has breached the nest walls. It must be deterred before the damage is too extensive. In an unprecedented show of resistance, the termite soldiers swarmed the Emperor Scorpion and gouged at its joints. Underestimating the termite's tenacity, the scorpion overstayed its welcome. When it finally tried to leave, it was too late. Collapsing in the mound, it was torn apart by the very creatures it sought to prey upon.
Guess what I've got? It's been a long road, hasn't it, my Raptors? You've done so well. Everyone doubted your potential for selective assimilation. Everyone except for me, of course. We need only arouse the remaining mutation vectors and it will be complete. Imagine it. No host rejection, no secondary augmentations. Tonight we finish it. Tonight we conduct the final experiment. Everything is arranged. Perhaps not as clinical as certified company equipment, but we'll make do. Our fates are intertwined now, my little ants. Do not fail me. We'll program a simple linear sequence to begin with. Laser, acid, fire, then the electrode. Don't be shy. You want the jelly, don't you? Look, a nice big blob on the surface. Come and get it. We'll program a simple linear sequence to begin with. Acid, laser, electrode, then fire. Don't be shy. You want the jelly, don't you? Look, a nice big blob on the surface. Come and get it. We'll program a simple linear sequence to begin with. Electrode, fire, acid, then the laser. Don't be shy. You want the jelly, don't you? Look, a nice big blob on the surface. Come and get it. Wakey, wakey. The early bird catches the death ray. If you think by not trying you can't fail, you are very much mistaken. You haven't tasted this before, have you, my Raptors? Pure, concentrated jelly. None of the other specimens survived exposure, so you'll be the first. Unless my hypothesis is wrong, in which case your lethal neoplasms will spread through the colony. No one wants to see that. The acid is pressurized, the nozzle takes aim, the danger is clear, but the jelly's right here. Your move. Look what I've done. You're melting. Melting! Oh, what a world, what a world. How about some bombardier beetles? Now that you've faced down a jet of noxious super acid, these should be child's play. The laser is charged to 20 watts. Don't look into the beam. Oof, perhaps a little too powerful, or not powerful enough. All this noisy equipment must be quite intimidating. How about a familiar distraction? A handful of tiger beetles will do nicely. Charging the capacitors. Now don't be startled if you hear a slight pop. Oh, that's a shocker. Imagine while all this is going on if you had to share your terrarium with a collection of highly agitated spiders. Why, it would be absolute pandemonium. Whoops. Fire extinguisher on standby for this one. Safety first. Fire! Yes, yes, it's working. The rate of adaptation has accelerated tenfold. We don't have time for your indolence. Don't you understand? You need stimulation. My work will not be hampered by your timidness. Get out! And that concludes the warm-up test. How was that? Feeling limber? Stretched? Hungry for more? Good. Next, we'll observe the effects of simultaneous exposure to multiple stimulants, programming in a distributed sequence. There. Good luck. Let's make the arena more interesting, shall we? What about a selection of angry mantises? That's interesting, isn't it? Perhaps the stimulation intensity should be increased. After all, our brave raptors have not come this far to be coddled. They expect stringent test conditions. We'll start by expanding the acid discharge stream. Let's expand the acid discharge stream next. Let's increase the laser to 40 watts next. Let's increase the electrode discharge capacity next. Let's increase oxygen flow into the burner next. Oh, and it looks like you're running out of mantises. Let me help you with that. Exposure to 3 cycles of each stimulant complete. It would seem that full spectrum immunity has yet to develop. Do you know what that means, my little raptors? That's right, you're so clever. Inserting triplet stimulant combinations into the sequence. We just need to increase the power draw. No! Useless! Isolated! Go! Where is it? Aha! I just need to prise it open. Let there be light. And then there was... this could complicate matters. 1, 3, 6, 2... Well, that's rude, isn't it? 1, 3, 6, 2... Change the alarm codes, have we? Well, how about these alarm codes? Wonderful! Perfect! I think it's about time we expanded the acid discharge stream, don't you? I think it's about time we increased the laser power, don't you? I think it's about time we increased the electrode discharge capacity, don't you? I think it's about time we increased oxygen flow into the burner, don't you? After all, that little fiasco won't have gone unnoticed. Oh, and I almost forgot to connect the feeder colonies. You remember those, don't you, my little raptors? What's left? Increasing the acid discharge stream. Quickly now, we don't have much time. What's left? Increasing the laser wattage. Quickly now, we don't have much time. What's left? Increasing the electrode discharge capacity. Quickly now, we don't have much time. What's left? Increasing the burner oxygen flow. Quickly now, we don't have much time. Perhaps more ants will help to heighten the urgency. Already? Can you not give me a moment's peace? Well, there's no going back now. Programming in the final sequence. Oh, it comes with scorpions. I'd love to stay and observe, but I need to go and buy us a little more time. Good thing I brought my dynamite. I'll put a little bit here, a little bit there, here, there, spread it all about. The door frame connected to the fuse bit connected to the wire bit, yes, the wire bit connected to my foot bone. Oh, that can't be right.
He's here! I knew it!
There's no way out. Put your hands up and step out into the corridor.
Oh, just in time.
I want him arrested now!
I think we should get back.
Fire in the hole!
Get back!
My little ants, look at you. Perfected. This is the end, I'm afraid. After all, we can't have those brainless parasites unraveling all of your secrets, can we? So, I hope you understand. It's not personal. There's just one final step. a once lethal catalyst for unbounded mutation, now tamed and molded through you, my raptor host, and finally rectified for human consumption. Tonight, I imbibe the power of the colony. Ah, yes, I can feel it. It's working. We are the ultimate state of life. We? What did I say? Now this shouldn't be happening. The power of the colony. The bonds of the colony. No! Yes. My queen. I serve the will of the colony. It is done. My queen must not be harmed at the behest of the colony. It could be years before I get this opportunity again. Useless ants! Useless failure! You could have been so much more. No collective, no purpose.
Okay, brace there. Fires are out. We're making our way through to the lab now.
We must leave now, my queen. It is not safe here. We will go into the wild and feed so that you may birth the first elates. Securing the line of the Raptor will need much sustenance.
Dear Lord, what is that?
No! What has he done? Get everyone up! Seal the doors!